Hello, my name is Lucas. This is Bit of Lit. I'm once again in my kitchen, and I'm talking about a novel that I've been reading. A very challenging novel, one I don't quite understand, and there's a few reasons for that. I will get into it. I read it very slowly. This is Qian Zhongshu's Fortress Besieged, which in Chinese is Wei Cheng, and it is. I have the Penguin Modern Classics edition. It is a satire of Chinese culture for the time it was published, particularly academia and marriage. Um, I read it quite slowly compared to how quickly I normally read, because it's quite dense, has a lot of allusions and sort of philosophical and literary things it wants to point out. And yeah, I did enjoy the book overall. I find it really difficult to read, though. It is about a man named Fang Hongjian, and he has just sort of started to go home from his studies. He's left China to go to Europe to study Chinese literature, because everything at that time had been westernized in China, or was westernizing, and there's a big whole kerfuffle, culturally speaking, with that for the Chinese at the time, because of Western influence from European powers and America as well, to an extent. This is set in the 30s. There is the Second Sino-Japanese War going on in the background. This is pretty much set in Shanghai, but there's also times where it's on a boat, or it's in Hong Kong, or in Wuxi, I believe, which is his hometown, which is pretty close to Shanghai, and some other things. But he's on his way back from university. He was getting his PhD, and he ended up not getting it, wasting his time lounging around and whatever, even though he was a smart enough student. And he's quite concerned, so concerned, in fact, that he decides that the best thing he can do is to buy a bogus degree. And it won't be any different than buying a position into the, paying your way into the Tang Dynasty government, or was it Song Dynasty? I think it was Tang Dynasty government. Anyway, and he ends up meeting some different people and has some interest in them. This largely focuses on his acclamation to getting a teaching post as an associate professor and at a university, and his struggles there, and then of course his courtship and relationship and absolute abysmal failure with his marriage to his wife, and Swin Roja, I believe is her name. And I mean, it is quite funny. It's pretty clear to see some of the humor, but I think I think personally that certain styles of novels, you lose so much in translation anyway, but I kind of feel like satires really lose the most. And I can't read this in Chinese, but I just think, I was looking at what other people were saying, that are Chinese readers who've also read this in English, and they were talking about different passages that, when translated into English, they have a completely plain, straightforward kind of meaning, and because of the way that Qian Zhongshu uses the language and plays with the language, there's such a deep underlying, cutting, satirical comment there that through translation gets lost again and again and again and again. Not to say that it all gets lost. It is quite a funny novel. My personal favorite sort of joke in here is that there's this idea, that men would have really cared about the father's status rather than the woman that he's going to marry, making marriage essentially a homosexual affair in China, because they're really concerned with the son, and the father's concerned with the son-in-law, and the son-in-law is concerned with the father-in-law. And I mean, there are things that do come through, but I do think so much probably is missing out. I would recommend it though, with a little bit of a caveat. Like, it is really funny, and I'm sure in Chinese it's even funnier. But in terms of action, there's not really much of a story, I would say. Things happen, but in terms of what really happens to Feng Hong Qian, nothing too dramatic, just a lot of scathing satire. But yeah, I like it a lot. I really don't think I understand it very well, because I don't know the culture of China of that time very well. And yeah, I think so much is missing because of translation that is inescapable. But I really think that really happens most definitely with satires. Though, if I remember right, in the introduction, it did say that this English translation was approved by the author himself. So, kudos to that. Very good book. A little challenging, but very, very funny. And probably even funnier than I realized. So, I recommend it. Thank you.